Hello class, today we are looking at multiplying and dividing fractions. So how do I multiply or divide fractions is my essential question. My learning intention, I'm learning to multiply and divide fractions. So pause and see if you can do the warm-up. The first two are adding, and the first one to add fractions, the second one is to subtract fractions. Pause and see if you can do it on your own to see if you know that concept. I do hope you tried. As I'm looking at the first one, they do not have a common denominator. So my next thought is, will 7 divide evenly into 14? Yes, 14 divided by 7 is 2. So I know that the only fraction I have to change to the equivalent fraction is 3 over 7. So 3 over 7 is equal to what over 14? What do I multiply 7 by to get 14? 2. I've got to do the same thing up here. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 over 14 is equivalent to 3 over 7. Okay, 6 over 14 plus 1 over 14. All I have to deal with are the top numbers. 6 plus 1 is 7 over 14. Can I simplify? If you look at it and think 7 is 1/2 of 14, if you do not see that, 7, the factors of 7 are 7 times 1, the factors of 14 are 7 times 2. The 7's reduce out, so this is 1 over 2. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. We've got a 6 and we've got an 8. Will 6 divide evenly into 8? No. What is my least common multiple? I'm going to have to change both of them to equivalent fractions. So I start, okay, 8 is my first factor. 6 doesn't divide into 8. Then I go to 16. 2 times 8 is 16. But 16 is not divisible by 6. 3 times 8 is 24. 6 will divide evenly into 24. So I know that both of them have to be to the something over 24. So let's take a minute and let's look. 7 over 8 equals what over 24? Okay, I know that 8 times 3 is 24. 7 times 3 is 21. So 21 over 24 is equivalent to 7 over 8. Okay, 5 over 6 is equal to what over 24? Remember, 24 divided by 6 is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 over 6 is equivalent to 20 over 24. We're now ready to solve. So, 21 over 24 minus 20 over 24 is equal to 21 minus 20 is 1 over 24. We cannot simplify that, so we are done. Okay, so now as we get ready to multiply and divide, we've got to think. Adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing are not the same processes. So what is the difference between multiplying and dividing or adding and subtracting? So if I'm adding or subtracting, what do I have to have? I have to have that common denominator. You do not need it for multiplying and dividing. When I add or subtract fractions, I must have a common denominator. Remember, not for multiplying. But remember, you do not have to have it to multiply or divide. Okay, so we are multiplying these fractions. When you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. 7 times 5 over 8 times 6. 7 times 5 is 35. 8 times 6 is 48. If you're looking top and bottom, you can see 7 and 5 are both prime numbers, so there would not be any need to reduce because they would not have common factors. But let's look at the next one. Okay, as I'm looking, I notice I have a 9 on top and a 9 on bottom. They will cancel all out because 9 divided by 9 is 1. Now, 11 is a factor of 22. 11 divided by 11 is 1. 22 divided by 11 is 2. I've canceled out everything on the bottom. I'm dividing by 1. So this answer would simply be 2. Take a minute, back up, and listen to the explanation again if you're struggling. When we look at them like this, we can look for those common factors, factor them out so we do not have big numbers to work with later on. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay. Does 2 go evenly into 12? Yes. So I'm going to divide 2 by 2 gives me 1. 12 by 2 gives me 6. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Does 3 go evenly into 6? Yes. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so if I'm looking, I'm left with a 2 over a 6. Am I done yet? No, because I know that 2 divides evenly into 6. So I'm going to divide the top by 2, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. I'm done. Okay, what about the next one? Well, let's start thinking about the factors of 21. The factors of 21 are 3 times 7. 17 is prime. So I'll have 3 times 7 times 17. The factors of 34 are 2 times 17. The factors of 12 are 2 times 2 times 3. Any questions? All I've done is factor things out and put the factors there so I can see where my common factors lie. Okay, I'm looking at the top. I've got a 3 on top. I've got a 3 on the bottom. 3 divided by 3 is 1. It's factored out. I've got a 7 on top, but no 7s on the bottom. I've got a 17 on top, and I've also got a 17 on the bottom. 17 divided by 17 is 1. Okay, so what am I left with? On the top, I'm left with 7. On the bottom, I've got 2 times 2 times 2. So this is 7 over 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8. Okay, so when we talk about dividing by a fraction, it's not really what we do. You do not divide by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, what are reciprocals? Reciprocals are numbers whose product is 1. So when you multiply two numbers together and get 1, you have reciprocals. What is the reciprocal of 5 over 3? All you do is flip it over and you've got 3 over 5. I call it flip it over. Maybe they might call it, just say switch the places of whatever. Okay, for 7 over 11, I'm going to flip it over. The number on the bottom comes up to the top. That's 11. The number at the top goes to the bottom. 11 over 7. Okay, what about negative 5? Remember that it has to be 1, positive 1, when you multiply it together. So think about what do I divide negative 5 by to get negative 5 back? Well, I can divide it by a positive 1. So when I turn this one over, it becomes a negative 1 over 5. Remember, you keep that negative sign because it must be 1 when you multiply them together. Negative times negative is a positive. Okay, so we're going to divide the following, which we know is not quite what we do. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 6 over 7 times 14 over 3. Okay, that's your first step. Flip it over and multiply. Look for your common factors. I've got 6 and I've got 3. I know that 3 divides evenly into 6. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. I know that 7 divides evenly into 14. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. So 1 times 1 at the bottom is 1. I don't need to worry about it. Dividing by 1 will not change my answer. 2 times 2 is 4. And I'm done. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Remember, 5 is 5 over 1, and I'm going to multiply it by the reciprocal, which is 14 over 15. Do I have common factors? Yeah. If I'm looking, 5 will divide evenly into 15. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 1 and 14 are left. There's no common factors. We don't have to worry about it. 1 times 14 is 14. 1 times 3 is 3. And we're done. Okay, for the last one, pause the video and see if you can set it up on your own. Well, I hope you tried. 3 over 13. What is the reciprocal of 3? 3 would be the same as 3 divided by what? 3 divided by 1. Flip the 3 over 1 upside down, it becomes 1 over 3. Analyze. Are there common factors? Yes. I've got a 3 on top. I've got a 3 on the bottom. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And I am left with 1 over 13. So you know you're successful when you can recognize what process to use to perform arithmetic operations on fractions. Arithmetic operations are add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And this is arithmetic with fractions.